my corrective exercise continuum, we will have my patient Chris. He is a healthy individual. He works out regularly and has a very good diet. We will start with a overhead squat. As you see, as he goes down, he has outward bending knees. So this shows that Chris has an overactive piriformis, gluteus minimus, and TFL with an underactive adductor complex. So next we will do range of motion and manual muscle test. So the first test that we have here is knee extension. And for Chris's measurements, we got 6 degrees and the normal range is 0. So because of his knees being weak, he's unable to fully extend his knee, so he has a bad reading. So for the next test, we have knee flexion. For the measurements that we got for this test was 100 degrees, whereas the normal readings are 140. After the knee flexion, we're going to do a Q angle, which you're about to see right now. So for the Q angle, which was the last range of motion test we did, our readings were 8 degrees, and the normal ranges are 10 to 14. So he wasn't too bad, but he wasn't in the perfect range. So as you can see, I'm setting up the goniometer to do the Q angle. So now we're going to do the manual muscle test. For the manual muscle test, we did Chris's bicep femoris. So as you see, as I pull down on his leg, he's unable to resist as much as he should. So because of that, his score is a 3. So the first step is the inhibit phase, where we will use self-myofascial release techniques and do foam rolling on Chris. So the first foam rolling technique will be the quad stretch. So Chris will start face down with the roller on his quad muscles, rolling from the hip down, and he will do this for about 30 seconds. So as Chris finishes the quad stretch on the foam roller, we will now move towards the hamstring. So as you can see, he starts sitting down with the foam roller under his hamstrings, and he rolls it from his hamstrings down towards his knees and then back up to his glutes. This is a very good stretch for Chris. You can see he's enjoying it. So the next phase is lengthening. We will do 3 types of stretching for this. So the first one is also a hamstring stretch, also known as supine leg raise. So as you see, Chris is laying down with one of the legs bent close towards his butt, and he raises the opposite leg straight up in the air, keeping his knee as straight as possible. And he does this alternating about 5 times each leg, holding for about 10 seconds. So the next is the kneeling hip flexor stretch. He will start kneeling down on his left or right knee with his shin closest to the floor and the other leg at a 90-degree angle. And he will slowly bend forward, keeping the other leg as straight as possible at the 90-degree angle. He will hold this for about 10 seconds. So the last is a standing calf stretch. This was Chris's favorite stretch, as you can see. You start with one leg farther back and the other one closest to the wall, and just stretch your calf. And then you switch about after 10 seconds. So the next phase is activate. During this phase, we will focus on Chris's weak area, so strengthen his knees. So we will do 3 exercises. The first is the straight leg raises. As you can see, Chris is laying down flat on his back, and he lifts up each leg about 6 inches off the ground and holds it for about 3 seconds, and then he switches. He will do this about 10 times on each leg. So the next exercise we have is called clams. So as you can see, Chris will be laying down on his side with his knees bent and feet together. He will then push his knees apart, keeping his feet together, and then he will rotate to the other side doing the same thing. He will do this for about 10 times on each side. So the last exercise in the activate phase is a simple heel raise. So we will have Chris standing against the wall with his hands flat on the wall, and he will then take his flat feet and go up on the balls of his feet, on his toes basically. He will hold it for about 5 seconds, and then we had him do it 2 to 3 times. So as you can see, he's starting flat and then raising up to his toes. So for the last phase, which is the integration phase, we will do 3 exercises using the cable machines to help Chris. So the first one is the abductor exercise, where he will connect the strap to his leg closest to the machine, and then he will cross that leg across the other, keeping it straight as possible for about 10 times. So the next exercise is the medial hamstring complex. Chris will start standing in front of the machine with the cable connected to his left leg. Once we have connected it, he will raise that leg to a 90-degree angle, keeping the other one straight and flat on the ground. And we had him do this about 10 times. So the last exercise is the gluteus maximus exercise. For this one, we have the cable connected to his left leg, and he moves his left leg backwards, keeping it straight as possible during the exercise. And he did this about 10 times as well. So that concludes our corrective exercise continuum video. Thank you so much. Paul, thanks for another great semester. Have a great summer. Thank you.